Hello, everyone. Welcome to the AlloyDB session. Ravi and I are super excited to talk about the latest innovations in AlloyDB over the last 1 year, especially powering your agentic and hybrid cloud workloads. My name is Sujatha Mandava. I lead product management for AlloyDB, Director of Product Management in Google Cloud Databases. I will be joined by Ravi Murthy, who's the Senior Director of Engineering for AlloyDB. And I'm super excited to have our customer speakers, Bhaven Avalani, who's VP of Engineering at Walmart, and Riaan Postma, who is the Chief Architect at Barclays. Now, let's take a quick look at the agenda. I'll do a quick overview of AlloyDB, dig into the 4 pillars of investment for AlloyDB, as you can see there. And then we, of course, will have our customers present their journey with AlloyDB. And along the way, you'll watch some cool demos of the new capabilities. So quick overview on AlloyDB. AlloyDB is our Postgres engine built for the AI era. It really combines the 100% Postgres compatibility, the amazing ecosystem of Postgres, with Google's innovation in infrastructure, engineering, and more. It's an enterprise-grade service. Excellent price performance, 2x better performance than standard Postgres, high availability features like 4 nines availability, including maintenance, near zero downtime upgrades, security built in right into the service, and autopilot capabilities that make database management extremely simple with AlloyDB. AlloyDB AI is a suite of AI capabilities that supercharge your data with AI, and Ravi will dig into it more. And finally, with all of these capabilities, we want to meet you where you are. AlloyDB Omni is a downloadable edition packaged in a container. That means you can run it on-prem, you can run it in public clouds, as well as on your local machine that you can actually use for development. AlloyDB is a unified engine that you can run your operational workloads, your analytical workloads, and your vector workloads. It's the highest performing Postgres engine. I have a bunch of metrics here, I'll just mention a few. 4x faster on transactional queries, 100x faster on analytical queries, and similar performance metrics exist on vectors as well. And the important thing to note is that we're able to achieve that vector performance with less memory, which means it is more cost optimized for your vector search workloads. Now, moving on, I would like to focus on 4 pillars of investment. I will touch upon AlloyDB Enterprise and AI, while AlloyDB Enterprise and Analytics, and Ravi will touch on AI and Omni. Now, we know that enterprise capabilities are very important for your agentic workloads when it comes to availability, reliability, security. So let's dig a little deeper into it. Hot standby, it went generally available. With the hot standby, the standby node of an HA instance becomes an active Postgres. This has 2 benefits. One is you have faster failover times because you eliminate the startup time and you have an active Postgres instance, you're able to reduce the RTO. The second is having the application have consistent performance, which means you avoid your performance brownouts or you reduce them and you're able to achieve that consistent performance because you have a memory cache that is warm. This is, as I said, generally available, so please try it out. Continuing on the enterprise readiness and price performance, we have auto-scaling of read pools, which means that AlloyDB is able to adjust the number of read replicas based on demand, your workload as it changes, or you're able to do that on a predefined schedule. You can say like a Cyber Monday or a Black Friday, you could be setting up your read pools for it. Now, continuing on resilience, we have added a number of different capabilities for our advanced DR. We have introduced global write endpoint, as well as done some failover automation to make the advanced DR experience very seamless, DR testing very easy, and it's very similar to what we have launched in Cloud SQL. Now, finally, my favorite feature, transparent query forwarding, which is coming very soon, but please talk to your account teams if you want to try it out. It's a feature really designed to scale your workloads, better utilize your resources on AlloyDB. What AlloyDB does is very intelligently forward the read-only queries to the read replicas, thereby lowering the burden on your primary. I do have, and all this without application side changes. I do have a cool demo, so which we'll go into a little more detail. What we have is a fictitious company called Symbol Investments. And this fictitious company just modernized their workloads from SQL Server and Oracle to AlloyDB. Now let's watch what happens when the trading opens on a Monday morning. There's a massive volume of write transactions that are happening there. And so, as you can see, the clients, there's a lot of writes that are happening on the AlloyDB primary. There's also some analytical queries that are happening at the same time the reads. Your AlloyDB read pool is all idle. Now, with TQF, you are able to forward your read to the AlloyDB read pool, thereby making better use of your resources. Now, I have simulated the same load with the workload as trading window opens. It has about 70% reads, 30% writes, and you can see that the primary is already burdened. Now, let's go ahead and enable TQF. You can see that the TQF is actually disabled in there. And now you enable the TQF, and you can start seeing how the analytical queries is actually being directed to the read pools. The burden on the primary is reducing, and now you're making better use of your resources without having to make any application side changes. I think this is really important because making the changes is a huge effort on it. The other important thing to note is that TQF supports read after write consistency, which means your applications are not reading stale data. It's a very important concept, and we're able to do that because we've been innovating in improving our replication. It's 25x faster than standard Postgres, and so this makes your application extremely responsive. Now moving on to AlloyDB analytics. This morning, in the keynote, we talked about agentic data cloud, where we're talking about eliminating the data silos that exist between operational and analytic, and actually building experiences combining these two sources in a single unified platform. Now let's take a look at this architecture. On the left side, we have AlloyDB that's running a transactional application which is doing reads and writes. On the right side, we have the lakehouse that has massive amount of data from many sources, which is cleaned, curated, and has generated insights. Now let's talk about the flows that happen. If you take the topmost thing, we support data stream, which is a change data capture that sends data from operational databases into your lakehouse, which means from AlloyDB to lakehouse. But we're super excited to launch one-click simplified experience replication from AlloyDB console itself. And in addition to that, we have a 100 GB free tier that helps you get started with DataStream. Now, talking about the reverse in terms of the data movement, we're introducing one-click reverse ETL, which means the insights that you have generated in your lakehouse can easily be served in AlloyDB, either a one-time, or you can set up your periodic frequency, and the insights are actually available to power these intelligent experiences in your application. Now, we finished the data movement part of it. Let's talk about the unified access that's in the middle. This is where we talk about, without data movement, how do we provide access to users who are in BigQuery or who are in AlloyDB? And this is useful because people could be doing ad hoc analysis. They could be doing lower frequency analysis. So we already had launched BigQuery external query that helps BigQuery query data from AlloyDB. Today, we are excited to talk about Lakehouse Federation. What Lakehouse Federation provides is an easy way for AlloyDB to query data that's in BigQuery. It could be in Iceberg, or it could be in BigQuery views. All that you're able to run with the same Postgres that you are familiar with. Finally, the knowledge catalog, the one at the bottom, where it is our data governance offering that can manage and discover your data sources. This is especially important for your agentic workloads because they need data from many sources, and having this catalog is going to be very critical. Now, given that, I'm going to quickly talk about Lakehouse Federation. This is achieved through BigQuery Foreign Data Wrapper. You're able to query live from Iceberg tables and from the Postgres data plane itself. And let's go quickly into the demo that I have. It's the same Symbol investment company that we are talking about. And imagine me as an equity research analyst that's looking at the S&P equities or the 10Ks to evaluate the trends in the market. Now, I have taken 3.2 million chunks of data, and I have actually loaded them into AlloyDB, and I'm able to do vector search on it. I can type in a vector search in natural language. AlloyDB understands what that is and is actually able to give me some of the results from that vector search query. And all this you're able to do by just using AlloyDB. Now, what if you wanted to combine that with reference data from BigQuery, which has information about these S&P 500 companies, or you wanted to take a specific 10K and you wanted to compare it to the historical data that exists for that very one? You can do this through Lakehouse Federation. Now, you take the same vector search queries. I'm going to filter on companies that have high operating income, they have high assets, and I'm going to say, let's join this vector search query with the information that's sitting in BigQuery. So all this financial data is sitting in BigQuery, and I'm able to query it right from the Postgres interface. You can see the SQL. You're with BigQuery, with the Lakehouse Federation, you're able to push filters and aggregation, which really maximizes the speed and performance. Now, what if I take a specific 10K and I wanted to compare it to the historic 10K, and this lives in Iceberg in Parquet format, and I'm able to do that with Lakehouse Federation. As you can see here, we are able to compare this 10K. It's pulling information from the Lakehouse and the Iceberg, compare that. So what we have provided with Lakehouse Federation is a unified access to not only combine the now data which lives in AlloyDB, but also the historical context that lives in BigQuery as well as in Iceberg. So that was a lot. And I'm really excited to invite Bhaven Avalani, VP of Engineering from Walmart, to talk about their journey, and especially with the product catalog. Thank you.
Thanks, Sujatha.
Good afternoon, everybody. Myself, I'm Bhaven. I lead all the databases, data platform, big data lake, and so on at Walmart. Been 5+ years there. Walmart itself, for folks, I'm sure everybody knows Walmart, but the core motto of Walmart is what makes me driven at Walmart every day: save money, live better. Okay, a little bit about the data landscape at Walmart. So first, we are a hybrid cloud deployment. We live on GCP, Azure, private, and there are 10,000 plus edges. And on these systems, there are tens of thousands of databases, and name a database technology, and we have it in our system. So you see SQL Server, Oracle, Informix, MySQL. Postgres is very, very interesting journey for us, open API across all clouds and edges. That's what is interesting. And on GCP, AlloyDB is our Postgres database of choice. So, little bit, oops, I missed a slide. Oh, okay. I think sorry, my apologies. Some slide got switched, actually. So let me talk a little bit about the Google journey. So we started our journey with Google around 18 months to 2 years back. And we looked at a couple of very challenging use cases. And we started looking at catalog as one of our use case. And basically, AlloyDB and us being in this context, we co-developed a massive catalog ecosystem together. It's a system where some of you in the retail industry might be familiar with it. The data set is large. There are many, many writers and many, many readers who deal with that data set. And that data set tends to be where there are various ways by which people access that data set, some through primary keys, some through alternate keys, some through textual search, and so on. So a complex use case. And we partnered with Alloy team to essentially implement that use case. Awesome journey. It is a very, very critical use case, which we today run live with 99.99 availability on AlloyDB. Okay. So just, a little bit more details on that. It is multi-key read-write use case, as I mentioned. Everything has to be super highly performant. So if from all the readers and writers, any delay out there is a big challenge, actually. And of course, along the way, there were challenges, of course. And any setup like this, especially any large enterprise setup, outside of functional area, we have to manage scale, and our holiday scale tends to be 10x, 20x, sometimes more than what it is on a steady state. So scaling for holidays is a big challenge. BCDR, we try to do almost every other week failovers between regions, and that's a very important aspect of how we operate. Database lock-ins is a worry for us. So as you saw, we had a very wide set of databases. While all of them have some SQL flavor, each database is different. Hence, Postgres as a common API is very interesting. Any databases has upgrades and patching, and we have to deal with that. So that having managed as offering is a very, very valuable thing. Workload performance tuning with our tens of thousands of databases is a constant challenge, and we leverage a lot of tools, and we have built a bunch of tools to manage that. And of course, any database migrations is part of the story. Okay. While we go through this, as Walmart is evolving its database ecosystem, cloud native, having essentially understanding how we manage business to our database ecosystem through performance engineering and deep partnership with business, and having essentially the capability to move data between systems. Thank you for getting the BigQuery pieces in place. So that's a very important pieces that matter to us. Okay. Now a little bit, in our journey, of course, and continued journey, there are always challenges and learnings along the way. So on the BCDR side today, global endpoints is something that is we are working with the Alloy team on. Auto vacuum, we had to work on managing the whole read side, throttling versus vacuum setup. So there's still ongoing work in that space. The IP space, the limits, the VPC limits, migrating to PSC, I'm sure some of you are going through that journey. Outside of AlloyDB, we do leverage a bunch of other systems at Google, Spanner, AlloyDB Omni. In these contexts, like most of you, AI is top of mind for us. There is a whole bunch of vector search, full text search investment happening in that space. And the work which AlloyDB is doing in that space is super exciting to us. So with that, I'll give it to Ravi. Yeah.
Thank you, Bhaven, for walking us through the AlloyDB journey at Walmart. And we really look forward to continuing the journey as you dive more into graph and vectors and text search. So this leads us to AlloyDB AI. So AlloyDB AI is all about powering the next generation of search experiences right within the database. Simple keyword search is not sufficient because it misses a lot of the semantic context that you really need about the real world. And without understanding, you can't really answer these queries. And also you need search to be integrated with the real-time operational data about your business. So the core building block for search is vectors. Vectors are these lists of numbers that represent the semantic meaning of any piece of content, and the distance between two vectors represent how similar these concepts are. AlloyDB provides native support for vectors, just like any other data type in the database. And what we've done over the last year is to really scale this and make it super performant. So it can scale to tens of billions of vectors now. And what you get is the fastest query performance along with super fast index builds. So we have the industry leading scan index. And what you see up there, the numbers in terms of how much faster it is compared to the other typical techniques for vector search. Now, we do know that for some high-dimensional vector cases, HNSW is another popular technique. And what we have done now is we've accelerated HNSW within AlloyDB, so you get 4x the performance compared to open source pgvector. The key thing with all of this to note is you can combine all of these vector search capabilities with the full power of SQL and let the system optimize it in the best possible way. And you do all of that with no application changes. But we're not stopping with vectors. With hybrid search, now you can combine keyword search for doing your exact matching with the semantic goodness of vectors. So you're really getting the best of both worlds so that you get the best possible quality. AlloyDB now supports the RUM extension for faster text search and a native BM25 support coming soon. I'm also very happy to announce that we have launched an easy-to-use hybrid search function that lets you combine the results, as you see in the query here, take the text search results, vector search results, and combine it in a very easy-to-use function that uses reciprocal rank fusion. Finally, to make it easy for you to bring vectors to your existing text search system, we have also launched integration with Elasticsearch and Solar coming soon. So AlloyDB can automatically pull results from your external server and combine it with vectors. Alongside all of this, what we have is a capability called AlloyDB AI functions. This lets you bring the power of LLMs and infuse real-world knowledge into your agentic applications. For example, look at this search query. You're looking for shirts for a summer vacation in Santorini. To answer this question, you really need to understand a lot of concepts about the real world that the data inside the database is just not aware of. Using the AI rank function, you can send these results to Gemini and have Gemini sort them based on a full semantic understanding of the item descriptions. We also support other AI functions like AI.if and AI.generate that also use LLMs to do their processing. We're now launching new AI functions, 2 new AI functions for doing sentiment analysis and to do summarization. Again, super simple, but super powerful capability inside the database. I also want to note a very powerful forecasting function we have inside the database that uses a pre-trained zero-shot model that you can give any time series data, and it's going to predict the next set of values. Super powerful, super simple to use. Last but not the least, we have done a lot of investment to make these AI functions really easy and cheap inside the database, so both from a cost optimization, but also boosting the performance so that now you can really use these at scale to build your agents. Now let's take a look at AlloyDB AI in action using a short demo.
Imagine I'm an equity analyst at Simple Investments, researching how escalating tensions in the Middle East impact the S&P 500. Manually auditing over 500 10Ks is a week-long task. To solve this, we started with the latest 10K filings that look something like this for each security in the S&P 500. We then chunked those 10Ks and loaded them into AlloyDB. Then, using AlloyDB's AI.initialize embeddings function, we generated millions of embeddings in just minutes, with no complex pipelines or async Python code to manage. Now, we can instantly query our 10Ks to search for specific content. Let's start with a full-text search example. I'll search exposure to Middle East shipping. But wait, I only get one result? This is a limitation of keyword matching. It's binary. If the document uses the word maritime instead of shipping, for example, it's missed. To find the nuance, we need AlloyDB AI. We'll leverage the embeddings we generated earlier to run a vector search using the exact same phrase. And now, we see a much richer result set. This lightning-fast semantic search is powered by Scan, our industry-leading, and now we see a much richer result set. This lightning-fast semantic search is powered by Scan, our industry-leading algorithm based on 14 years of Google research. It allows us to scale up to 10 billion plus vectors with filtered search performance that's up to 10x faster than standard Postgres. But why choose? With AlloyDB, we can use hybrid search to combine the keyword precision with semantic depth. AlloyDB offers the ultimate flexibility here. With multiple index types like scan and supercharged HNSW with columnar engine acceleration, support for native gen indexing, the new RUM extension for state-of-the-art full-text performance, and coming soon, native BM25. And we provide seamless re-ranking with reciprocal rank fusion or any of the many re-ranking models available in Vertex AI, like Semantic Ranker 512. You can also bring your own model to AlloyDB. Without these innovations, this query would take over 90 seconds. Here, it's sub-second. But how do I know that these results are actually relevant? Instead of reading every chunk, I'll use AlloyDB AI functions to bring Gemini's world knowledge directly into my SQL. I can call AI.summarize on the entire result set to extract essential risks while maintaining nuance. And I can use AI.generate to get an up-to-date company overview. And with our new optimized AI.if function, we use native in-database execution and surrogate models. With these optimizations, our benchmarks have shown the ability to process up to 100,000 rows per second, which is a 23,000x improvement over traditional row-at-a-time calls. By bringing the power of AI to the best of Postgres, AlloyDB has turned a week-long research project into just a few clicks.
Wow. AlloyDB AI is powerful. It's amazing to see how much capabilities you have right inside the database to reach out into Gemini, into LLMs, bring all the goodness, but really think of it like a classic database application and use that to build your agentic applications. There's a lot that we have, and we continue to innovate a lot in this space. I want to briefly mention a few other capabilities that we have in the data agent ecosystem that you can use on top of AlloyDB. So we are launching a number of first-party agents at the conference here, including the onboarding agent, observability agent, and more coming soon. I want to draw attention to the new conversational data agent that we just launched, which lets you talk to your data using natural language and gives you highly accurate, very secure results. Really, really powerful capability. But as a developer, you can build your own agents using many, many tools that we provide, including the new query data tool, along with all the other MCP tools in the ecosystem. If you would like to learn more about this topic, definitely encourage you to go to a breakout session tomorrow that deep dives into this. But the key takeaway here is database is where the center of the action is for all the agentic applications. And it's super easy to get started. Now I'll switch gears and talk a little bit about AlloyDB Omni. While we would like all of your workloads to be on Google Cloud, we realize that there are still many cases where customers still need to run some workloads outside of Google Cloud. For example, in highly regulated industries or in sovereign environments, there are very strict data residency requirements and also the need to run in private cloud or in air-gapped environments. Many customers may still have very complex legacy systems that are running on-prem that is not easy to move into the cloud, but you still want to modernize it. Others are looking for a common tech stack that you can run in many clouds and have the flexibility to offer to your customers those choice that it's not just GCP, but in other clouds as well. But what we've seen is almost everyone wants to standardize on Postgres. But then they realize that they need enterprise-grade features, very high performance and scale, management tooling, and also importantly, someone to actually support this stack outside of GCP. So this is where AlloyDB Omni comes in. Since our launch 2 years ago, we have seen a massive adoption of Omni across many, many industries like retail, finance, manufacturing, government, and you're hearing from a couple of folks here as well. And the thing to note with AlloyDB Omni is it's powered by the same industry-leading, fully Postgres-compatible engine that you get in the Google Cloud with all its amazing analytics and AI capabilities. But now you can get it in a number of different form factors that let you deploy it literally in any environment, all the way from a laptop to on-prem, edge, GDC, and any multi-cloud. And you can run it using Kubernetes or VM or bare metal, so super, super flexible. And it comes with many, many management features that make it easy for you to operate it in your environment. And really, really important, it comes with full Google support for the entire stack. I'll touch on a few capabilities of Omni briefly. The core Omni engine has all of those performance and scale characteristics that you've already heard before. It's 2x faster than open source Postgres for transactions, but 100x faster for analytic. It's got a lot of scaling improvements that have gone into it. We are now launching new enterprise features in Omni, things like transparent data encryption, integration with Active Directory, and essentially things that make it fit into the rest of your on-prem environment. It has all the AI features that I talked about, fast vector search, AI functions, all the other capabilities that let you easily build on-prem agentic applications. And you can either call into Gemini or you can call into your own model. The autopilot features are really useful for you to manage large fleets on your own, because this will be unmanaged from our standpoint. And you have things like the memory management and vacuum management for that. We provide a very feature-rich Kubernetes operator that embodies all the best practices that we know about operating at scale on Google Cloud. We've embodied that into a Kubernetes operator that lets you do provisioning, backups, HA, DR. But if you're a non-Kubernetes customer, we recently launched an RPM version of it that you can run on VMs, along with a set of Ansible tooling. And if you're interested in GDC, the Google Distributed Cloud, AlloyDB Omni is the primary managed database offering on that platform. So key takeaway, AlloyDB on Google Cloud gives you amazing transactional, analytical, and AI capabilities. And with Omni, you can literally take it anywhere else. Speaking of Omni, I'm very excited to invite Riaan to come on stage and talk about his experience at Barclays with AlloyDB Omni.
Ravi. Thank you for the opportunity, and hi everyone. My name is Riaan Postma, as Ravi already mentioned. I'm part of a bank called Barclays. We're a global bank currently operating in a lot of jurisdictions. Show of hands, anyone been? No of Barclays? No? Yes? Awesome. Our purpose is very simple at Barclays. If I can talk a little bit about Barclays, is we want to deliver and work together delivering, I think, better financial future for our customers and our clients. And we're going to do that through being much simpler, better, and more balanced as a group and as a bank as well. And it's probably the same thing everyone faces today. There's a complexity in your environment, and simplicity matters if you want to do things at pace and the right resiliency and the right scale associated with it as well. In order to achieve this purpose at Barclays at scale, we believe technology is core to this journey of ours. Innovation is not something new at Barclays. For those that don't know, this bank is 336 years old, okay? And not just surviving through this period, but have learned in order to adapt as well and change over time as well. Across our global teams, Barclays have been working very hard in terms of modernizing and simplifying, but also strengthening our technology estate associated with this in order to deliver on these outcomes as well. This will rely on us to make far better intelligent decisions, responsible decisions, but also resiliency in terms of technology in order to create these seamless experiences and resilient solutions that are also secure in order to deliver on the promises that we make to our customers on a daily basis.
Thank you, Riaan. So with this context in mind, how are you thinking about where do platforms and containers fit into this journey? And as you're thinking about this, how does a database like Postgres, AlloyDB, Omni, how do you think about setting it up, operating, and letting your teams run at scale?
No, awesome question. Both containers and platforms are key enablers in that purpose and that journey that we talked about. As a group, obviously, you go through different changes over time. You'll see that you federate stuff across your group, and then sometimes you ended up centralizing things again, and you keep on oscillating. But through that journey, you build up this complexity, if it's now tech debt, or it's the way you operate or manage things. And we're no different to any other organization in this journey and this context. So containers is obviously super important for us. From an approach perspective, creating something that's portable, a consistent runtime, something that sort of separates that dependency on your infrastructure and workload as well. That provides us a lot of consistency in the way we can approach things and the solutions that we actually deliver to our customers as well. Platforms is the big shift for us. Not a new concept. You all be aware of this wonderful word called platform engineering. And obviously at Google also a critical dimension around it. And so probably taking a little bit of a view from how our partners operate in the same way. In Barclays, I think this is for us a critical path in terms of our acceleration, in terms of not just simplifying what we're doing, but also modernizing in terms of what we want to achieve. And this is changing the way we operate and think about our technology as well, including the consumption of technology. So delivering platforms internally to what we call our internal customers, which is our developers. So really ramping up that developer experience associated with it as well. And that applies the same to our database. Postgres fits this model quite well. If you think about traditional databases, things have changed over time in terms of where we typically configure these things on a very specific base, try to optimize them or run them independently. And I think as we move forward, part of our platform transformation is delivering database as a service to our internal customers as well, which create that consistency and provide those rich set of features, but also the resiliency and all the other features that goes with that. So that allows our teams truly to start focusing on the real value where it matters in terms of delivering functions to our customers. So balancing almost that whole balance between the trade-off that you typically had to make between secure and resilient and fast speed to market, that you almost remove that whole paradigm associated with it. And I think this is typically for us, AlloyDB Omni fits beautifully into this picture.
Just building on that, what's your experience using AlloyDB Omni, and how is it kind of supporting your goals, as you mentioned, around like resilience and speed and innovation, and any other feedback that you might have on Omni?
No, brilliant question. I think I will declare, I mean, we're about 90% on cloud at the moment in terms of both public and private cloud. Our first product with Google is AlloyDB Omni as well, and we've got a few others in the fireworks, and some of our account people are here today as well. The experience has been brilliant, apart from the support as well. AlloyDB Omni really support that vision around not just a platform, but also in terms of the containerization approach that we talked about. It's also supporting our AI journey as such as well. And part of our first use cases that we are deploying has got very much that database as a service, as a platform I operate, creating something very consistent, configurable, that we can guarantee around resiliency, uptime, support, associated with it, but then also start thinking about how do we start developing applications with the AlloyDB Omni, for example, from an AI native perspective. And I'm very glad to see all the announcements today, Ravi, around this. And I think this will just start reinforcing, I think, the whole approach around how we actually start thinking about our native applications. And Barclays have been part of this platform transformation journey. I've got ownership for something called digital platform within the group as well. But part of this as well is how we've been thinking about building a data platform for the group. We've adopted a data mesh approach associated with this. So for us, it's not an all or nothing thing. AlloyDB, especially the AI features, I think will start help unlocking how we actually start thinking about our application development in the context of I don't have to have all my data over in my data mesh sitting associated with this. I can actually start redeveloping and rethinking my application development associated with that native environment and then the integration associated with that as well. I mean, there's a lot of other things associated with the self-healing, the autopilot part that you talked about. I think that this is a critical part when you deliver an internal platform within your organization. We're trying to meet the same operational benefits that you get from typically going, let's say, with OmniDB cloud perspective as well. And part of our teams and our focus is delivering that same level of resiliency, support, uptime, and products like AlloyDB have allowed us to actually get to that level of parity internally as well, which I think is a very critical step. We do want to sort of measure ourselves internally from a platform perspective also around NPS. Developer experience is quite critical for us if we're going to succeed in this process of modernizing and simplifying at scale and at pace as well. So delivering something where we remove the toil from our developers is going to be key. And I'm great to say, if you look at actually what AlloyDB and Omni have done so far, that has definitely helped us on this journey.
Just looking ahead briefly, how are you thinking about AI and agents? It's all this conference is about. In your data estate, maybe if you can share something about how you're thinking about it.
Yeah, no, I think like all of you, we're on a journey associated with this, obviously. We typically break it down into 3 dimensions. One, we heavily focus around our developers, okay? Not just the things I've talked about, the developer experience, how we provide the right tooling and platforms for our developers to actually succeed and focus on the areas that are important. And products like AlloyDB, I think, will allow us to provide that same set of rich features and functions where the developers can focus on actually delivering the right outcomes. The other part is obviously internal to our own colleagues, which is critical, and then for customers as well. I think especially with the developments around the databases and the marriage that with the warehouses, I think that simplifies our approach significantly. So it's not an all or nothing scenario. We can start mixing things up as well, which I think will help us improve the speed of innovation and the things that we can actually deliver to our customers as well.
Excellent.
Ravi, that's it.
Thank you so much. We have really appreciated the partnership, and we look forward to more things in the future.
Oh, same, yeah.
Thank you. All right. Before I wrap up this session, I just want to call out, we've got a bunch more sessions around AlloyDB. Tomorrow, it's up on the screen here, both in terms of just going deeper into some of the aspects around Lakehouse integration, but also AlloyDB AI. We've got another deep dive session on that, database migration service, and other topics as well. So please do attend them. Each of them also have other customers that will be sharing their stories about AlloyDB and how They're modernizing and transforming their data estate. Finally, I just want to thank all of you for attending this session. I've got the email IDs of both Sujatha and myself up on the screen, so please don't hesitate to send us an email. We are here to help and always looking for feedback. Thank you.